Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back. I am so excited to see you guys today. And today I am giving you guys a video on some pro competition tips doing role plays and competitions in DECA. And I really hope these tips help you out. Today I'm going to share my 10 best tips about competing in a role play or a case study event, as we call it in collegiate DECA, to help you guys out in navigating it, whether you're a first timer or you're here just looking for some good tips and tricks that you might have not thought of before when preparing for these. The first thing I usually do when I'm handed the case study is I try to write down my role and the judge's role. I feel like this is really a good way of navigating the presentation because it gives you a sense of what your perspective is and who you're talking to. Sometimes I know it's tempting to think that all of them are going to be owners of businesses or a manager in your department or something like that, but be warned, sometimes it's completely the opposite. You're the owner and you're talking to an employee, and they're not things that you can figure out just by reading the case study, so write those down right off the bat to get it out of the way. Number 2 is have a watch and try to have a prep time outline. This varies, I guess, based on different people and how they think. Some people need a lot more time to come up with a creative intro and a hook for their presentation, and other people need just better support on the actual content creation part of it. Whatever your case is, try to figure this out before you go into competition. So, for example, if you're an individual and you have 30 minutes to compete, you can break it down into 10, 10, 10 kind of throughout your presentation, or you can give yourself 15 minutes in one, 10 minutes in the other, and split it up as you so feel you need. Now, having a watch is crucial to your success as well, I feel like, because that's really the best way to gauge the time in there. You're not allowed to bring phones into the competition area. You can't have any kind of smart watches, and I also recommend, since we're talking about wrist wear in general, try to not wear things that are going to be hugely distracting to you or the judge. For example, big earrings are one that's a common slip up for people. They look great with the business attire. They look bomb with that blazer. I totally feel ya. New Kendra collection, but leave them at home for this. It's really can become very distracting. Sometimes people even play with like a ring on their finger or a bracelet or things like that. So as long as you have a watch, I feel like that's the only thing you should have, but I don't really get as distracted by those as I do everything else. Performance indicators. These are so crucial, and everyone is afraid of meeting their PIs, which I get it because that's how your presentation is scored, but the performance indicators are written to help you out. If you look at the performance indicators, you'll usually have between 5 or 7, or I think upwards of 10 even is possible if you're in a partner event, but use these performance indicators to drive your presentation, and they're meant to be in a guideline. Now, the thing to keep in mind with them though is that they're not always going to be in the right order for you. They might be in a slightly flip-flopped order, so take a look at them, give yourself a couple seconds to process, and then arrange them in the order that you feel like is most intuitive to your presentation, whatever kind of makes it flow and roll the best. Another thing too with your performance indicators is a lot of the time they're written so they kind of overlap together, and it can be very difficult to keep track of them. So my recommendation is try to consolidate them. If you're in collegiate, you probably are doing this on a laptop, so you can kind of isolate your files and consolidate them to different spots that way. Or if you're doing it on pen and paper like they do in the high school version, you're probably going to want to either do boxes on the paper or have like a little bit of a grid sort of set up on your page and assign one performance indicator to each of those squares. Number 5 is have a visual in your presentation. I feel like this is super overlooked, and you might think, oh, well, I have a PowerPoint, that's my visual, right? Wrong. Having something like a diagram or a chart where you can just put in random numbers. I mean, this is completely, the judges are well aware of the time constraint that you have, so you don't need to feel pressured to like make it exactly as it would be per se. Oh my goodness, pie charts are amazing at this. and you can just split them up by like who your customers are. There's tons of ideas, but having some kind of visual or even like a mock advertisement of something, it doesn't even have to be fantastic. The judges know you're on a time constraint, but these are things that you can really use to boost your presentation and kind of draw your judges' attention back into what you're doing. Number 6 is professional attire, kind of like what I'm wearing right now. I have a simple white blouse underneath, Calvin Klein, just a standard kind of blazer with some like taller shoulders in here. They're not totally 80s, but you catch my drift. And then anything along with that, so I have my little DECA diamond necklace on today, just very simple. Even like very, very small earrings, like only studs is probably what I'd wear. And same goes for guys. I really would try to like have your hair back and out of your face. A little bun like that will usually do the trick. And you also make sure that you're not wearing any bright colors on your nails. This is a common mistake I see even at like international conferences, is that people will have their nails done. And of course, there are exceptions to this. For example, one of my friends did a nail polish company and she did the designs on her nails. Totally acceptable, by the way, like as long as it's not distracting you and you're not like flailing your hands around in the judge's face too much like this. It almost always works in that sense. Or if you do kind of like a neutral color, totally fine as well. Another thing to remember with professional attire, and this is a very overlooked thing, I don't really know how much businesses and judges look at it, but I've been told that it makes a significant difference. So if you're standing, try to wear your blazer buttoned up like this, but when you're sitting down, unbutton it. I think a big part of the reason why this is good if you're sitting down to have your blazer unbuttoned is it relaxes your shoulders a bit, it makes you look more natural, and it's just a natural kind of gesture. I feel like that's generally a good rule of thumb to follow. Also, oh my gosh, introduction is so key with DECA presentations. So personally, what I like to do when I start out my role plays is I start out with a story. By story, I don't mean you have to go on for days. You don't have to give a 5-minute explanation. This is literally just a couple sentences explaining who you are, but in a creative way. So I feel like giving some kind of spin or story, or trying to even incorporate what's given to you in your case study, is a really good way to connect with the judge. It shows them that you care, and it establishes role rather than just saying up front like, who am I? One of the things I like to do with my presentations is I think of 1 or 2 keywords for each slide in my presentation, or I guess for written too, you're doing like 1 keyword for each performance indicator. And I feel like this helps not only narrow down what the performance indicator is trying to tell you, but it gives you something if you absolutely blank on the spot. That keyword is going to be your fallback plan. So for example, if I have a performance indicator that says something like describe the functions of marketing, but at least you can write down a keyword like role or job or something like that, so that when you look at it, you think you're actually just looking for like, okay, what do I do in marketing? Boom, there's your key term. Okay, I feel like number 9 is another one that connects very well to 7 when we're talking about having some kind of personalized introduction, and that is add to the problems of the case. The cool thing with doing this is that you can connect problems within the business even if you don't know they're actually there. As long as you address what the judge says, you can add on things to your presentation without a problem. Just the careful thing with this is you can't distract too far or try to like tangent from what the judge and the performance indicators are asking you, because then you run yourself at a risk. And the last thing, be friendly with your judge. Ask them for their advice after the presentation. Ask them to give you questions. Thank them for their time. It's really stressful and difficult to be a judge in the DECA world, I feel like. It's just a common courtesy, I feel like, to show your judges that you care and that you appreciate their time that they committed to you. Okay guys, so if you enjoyed this video, be sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure that you let me know what you thought of this video. Are there any more questions that you have, or if there's anything else DECA related, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to make a video about it. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!